Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be discussing the Flash 807 titled Lockdown. This has been my full review of the episode, my opinions as well going along with it. So if you enjoy, hit the like button down below, subscribe for new. We've got a lot to go through, so let's start right into it. So the episode started off in Star Labs with Chester listening to CCPD radio chatter. Chester had a Supergirl lunch bag. I'm assuming a Supergirl looked like her logo, but it could also be Superman's. Chester mentioned an alien invasion, obviously bringing in the invasion crossover we had a couple years ago, and then nuclear meltdown that we had in one of the best Flash episodes ever, titled Flash Time, in season 4, when Barry stopped the nuke, and also teasing probably that meta that was a nuke. There was a mugging, there was a car robbery, and a robbery at Jitters at the same exact time in Central City, and Barry stopped it all in under a minute. If this doesn't, please you in any way, quit watching the show. This is what I've been wanting for the past several years on the show. Barry stopping several crimes at the same time, because it's a big city. You don't expect just one crime going on at one time. No, you expect several. This is what I've been wanting on this show for the past several years, and they are delivering every single thing that I've wanted to see on the show. And the writers, I know we're getting sick of hearing it, but the writers are doing an amazing job this season. I don't know what they're on, but they need to keep taking it because they are doing amazing. You can tell if you don't know by now. Again, you need to quit watching. Eric Wallace knows what he's doing this season. We are seeing what he can really do with the show, with the characters, besides Iris, and we can really see what he does, and he is blowing it out of the water, and I love it. The guy that was from last episode in the time travel scene with Nora and Bart, where Joe got shot, I keep on forgetting his name, but it's the guy who always gets arrested nonstop for robberies. He was the guy robbing Jitters. And Barry brought all three of these criminals to CCPD, and the Flash left, and Barry came down, Kramer came out, and was talking about the fact that while the Flash brings in criminals all the time, and actually saves people and helps the day, and helps CCPD, they don't know what their actual crimes are. They don't know why they're arrested. They know it's obviously for a good reason. They're arrested because they did something bad, because the Flash brought them in. But they don't know the actual reason, which means there's a bigger pain in the butt for all of them to figure that out. And because the Flash doesn't have much contact with anyone there, not like when Joe was there or Singh was there, they don't have that connection anymore. All the cops know the Flash, right? They all trust the Flash. But they don't have those connections like Joe did ever since he was gone. So that's kind of a thing. I'm glad they're bringing it up. Barry joked when talking to Kramer about the Flash stuff that having a Flash phone would be something. It feels like a tease of something. I can't put my finger on it, but it feels like something that I should know. Barry talks to Joe about what Kramer said, and Joe and Cecile said they had a direct line to the Flash. Kramer doesn't. As I said earlier, Joe and, again, Cecile all had connections to the Flash because of Barry, because Barry's Flash. And they knew that, and they would use that. So therefore, it would line up with the fact that, hey, if we need the Flash, he'll be there in a second because we can get to him right away. With Kramer, he can't really do that. Barry mentioned that he needed a lot of help when he first started, but now he doesn't. We see that. If you can't accept that Barry's really, really, truly powerful now than he's ever been, again, you need to quit watching the show. Simple as that. And to those hating on this season, go screw yourselves. Unless it's really good criticism, fine, but they're really, and I'm going to be talking about something in a minute that pissed me off, really seeing people hate on. Joe thinks Kramer has a good reason for wanting a direct line to the Flash, which she did, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Chester and the Liger are doing their streaming thing. One of the users' names in the stream, which was mentioned by Paige on Twitter, was Pizza Parker. Obviously mentioning Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I'm assuming it's obviously a Peter Parker, but it being Pizza Parker, you have to assume it would be Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man based off the funny pizza time scene from one of the Spider-Man movies, early Spider-Man movies. So that was a funny little mention that I noticed. And that Paige noticed too. Kate mentions her sister and her ex-con boyfriend, aka Chill Lame. Yes, Chill Lame, not Chill Blaine. Chill Lame is much better. Thank you, Damien Dark, for mentioning that. Kate talks about Marcus, her new boyfriend. Chester said maybe he will be able to control plants as a joke, teasing Poison Ivy, which I guess they know about now because they all talk. So that makes sense. Kate mentions I already said that. Barry got all those cases done for Kramer to make things easier, thinking that Kramer would back off the Flash, or at least, say that things are easier. And she still isn't satisfied with what the Flash is doing. And Kramer thinks that, again, while the Flash is doing everything good, in the long run, it isn't helping the Captain at all, aka Kramer. So, a gas bomb erupted in CCPD, knocking out everyone. Bear couldn't use his speed without blowing his identity. Now, there was a scene that went out by the CW before the episode aired, saying that exact scene, or not saying, showing that exact scene, and a majority of people who saw it just hated on the show because people were like, why couldn't Barry use his speed? You have to remember, Kramer was there, right near Barry. There were dozens of people looking in Barry's direction. Even though Barry is the fastest person ever now, and he's the fastest ever been, there's no way in hell that Barry could have gotten that bomb out, saved everyone, stopped Ghostface's crew from coming up, and gotten back without a single person noticing, and then no one wondering where the other Flash is. No one would believe that. And also the fact that even if Barry could do it in under a millisecond, right? Even if he could do that, even if he did, it still would have caused some conflict with Kramer, with the rest of CCPD, because the Flash always comes in to make sure everyone's okay. He couldn't have done it without Barry missing. Therefore, no, he couldn't have used his speed. And if Barry used his speed, Kramer would have been able to use her powers on some level. So it really, truly didn't make any sense for Barry to use the speed. And to those who are saying it was for the episode purposes, it really wasn't. It was a good scene. It was good writing. It fit. Barry wasn't going to blow his identity for a gas bomb. I mean, if it was really lethal, sure, but it wasn't lethal. Bear knew that. And he wasn't going to blow his identity for that. Period. He wasn't going to blow it. So those hitting on that scene, I mean, rewatch it or quit watching the show. I'm going to keep saying quit watching the show until the show gets like 0 hate. That's never going to happen. And again, good criticism, fine. If you have a problem with a scene, fine. Or a couple lines, fine. But when a scene is good and it makes sense, there's no reason to hate on it. Period. There's no reason to hate on that scene. It was a good scene. To those who watched the show and actually paid attention to it for the past several years, you know it was a good scene. If you think that scene was bad, then I don't know what to tell you, but you don't know The Flash. Simple as that. And it was not for episode purpose, not for writing purposes. It was a good scene, period. Anyways, after that scene, the Goldface and his crew showed up, and Barry and Kramer are knocked out. Everyone in CCPD, all the cops in that, wake up with medic cuffs on, which we saw from season 5 when Barry and then Ralph went undercover in their operation to get Goldface out of the thing, pretty much, just to stop him. Goldface has people dressed up like cops to fool everyone to make sure they don't come into the building. Said there's a gas leak in there. Kramer stepped up and said that to protect her people, and said that if he has a problem, that she will deal with it herself and no one else will get in trouble. Iris still has a podcast. Goldface mentioned the Citizentopia thing, I think it was, that we saw Kramer on in, I think it was 801 with Iris. So it's good to know that that she still has a podcast. I think we're all kind of questioning that, but she still does. The bracelets are also bombs. They show that on a test dummy, that with Goldface's belt, he pushes one button facing the bracelet and it blows up. Goldface remembered Barry from a few years ago, aka the chemist, that was Barry's undercover name, And Ghostface mentioned Amy Net. They're still together after season 7, I think it was. Or that or late season 6. I think it was 7. No, it wasn't 7, sorry. Season 6. Definitely season 6. I remember now. It's definitely season 6. Because it was Mira Iris, I think it was at that time. It was so horrible. But, yeah, Daddy likes my dog. Go kill me. But, yeah, they're still together throughout this whole time. Kate and Marcus go on a date. Again, Marcus is Kate's new boyfriend. Frost and Chillame are there as well, so they go on a double date. Kate isn't really happy about it. She started drinking, and I posted on Twitter, please give me more of what Caitlin's drinking so I can drink the entire freaking bottle. I do not like Chillblaine at all. I don't mind Caitlin. I don't mind the new Marcus guy. But Jesus Christ, the scenes with Chillblaine and... Sorry. Chillame and Frost are just so bad. I'm sorry, but I can't like those scenes. I cannot like those scenes. That was the only bad part of this episode, were all the scenes with Chillame in them. I cannot handle that guy. I don't know why. Probably because they set him up to be a douchebag and he still is one. I don't know. I do not like Chillame, and I wish someone would either A, murder him, or B, just get him off the freaking shelf. Like, and by murder, I mean murder the character. Obviously not the actor, but, you know. One would be nice. No, I'm not saying murder the actor. I'm saying murder the character, because he's a piece of crap. So, they go on a double date, blah, blah. That was really crappy. Kramer and Barry want to do something to save everyone. And Bear calls Kramer Cap, as in, like, what? Everyone did it in the Avengers movies, calling Steve Rogers Cap. I don't know. It was just kind of, I don't know if that was actually a tease to Marvel, but if it was, that's 2 Marvel teasers in The Flash, which is 2 more than we've gotten over the past, like, 3 years. So, you know. Or actually, 2 years. 3 years? 4 years. 4 years. We got one in season 4. And we're in season 8, so 4 years. 4 years. Thanks to the Flash suit. Because if you remember, we got an Iron Man repulsor in that suit. In 401. Anyways, Kramer knows... Okay, Goldface wants to get in the armory. The CCPD armory for something that he wants. We don't entirely know what at that point. Kramer knows what's in there. Isn't really telling Barry. And she said it'll get a lot worse if Goldface gets it. Goldface told his psychic, I don't know his name, to get Bear and Kramer to tell him where it is. And we found out that Goldface is looking for the meta bullets to use on the Flash. And obviously, he doesn't know that Barry's the Flash. Otherwise, you know. But, yeah, so obviously Barry overhears that because he's in the room. And, you know, he's obviously kind of worried a little bit about that. Which one wouldn't you be? Goldface threatens Barry's life with his gold necklace wrapped around Barry's neck, choking him to death, which again, if he knew he was a Flash, you know, he'd probably kill him, but Barry offered to help find the bullets so that Kramer didn't give him up. And he said he was going to make a scanner that he has in his lab, which he did have a scanner, but he was going to use it to find the meta bullets using different technology in that. Kay mentioned that Mark, or Chillame, was a criminal and that Frost is an idiot for dating him. Mark defends Frost when Kate attacks her for dating Chillame, and Frost and Chillame leave. Probably the best scene in that aspect of the episode. And by that aspect, I mean any scene with Chillame and Frost this episode. The only good scene with those was when the two left. Just saying. Mainly Chillame. I'm so glad he left, and then he came back. So that wasn't really good, but the point is, it was a nice feeling. Barry was working on the scammer, and Goldface's ringtone was that stupid love song we got in season 6 when Goldface and Amy Annette were doing their thing in season 6 when they realized that they love each other from that stupid lotus flower or whatever. It was that song, so obviously, you know. Amy Annette called Goldface to see how his progress is going because they have a big sale. He plans on selling the meta bullets, again, to cause more chaos in the city because there totally isn't enough as it is. Goldface talked about how good it was working with Amy Annette and mentioned that he sees Dr. Finkel who goes and sees Barry and Iris, or Baroness go see, she's a therapist. That's, I guess they've been seeing her since season 4. I didn't really say if like Barry sees her or not, but they know her. And again, she was a therapist that we got a lot throughout season 4, with Barry, Iris, Ralph, Caitlin, a couple other people probably, I don't remember who, but yeah. So that's who they were talking about, and that's why Barry had that reaction, if you watch it. Barry tricked them and made the quote-unquote scanner a sound device that ended up neutralizing everyone, or at least distracting everyone, including Kramer, so Barry can knock Goldface and the psychic out, and then Barry gave Kramer a set of earbuds or whatever to protect from the sound. We saw Barry put them in before he did this, and it obviously worked. They got out into a vent and it escaped a little bit throughout a different part of the CCPD. Barry wanted Kramer to stop Goldface because Kramer's powers actually negate the bracelet. Now, whenever Kramer's around a meta, like I don't remember what the exact example was. You can rewatch the scene. Barry said he was saying a bunch of science crap. But basically, the powers that emit, or the waves that emit from Kramer's powers, were actually negating the bracelet that Goldface had on Kramer. Therefore, it wouldn't work. And we saw that a little bit in Barry's lab when she was around Goldface. Hence, they figured that out. Chillane talked about how crappy his family was, blah, blah. He said that Kate needs to focus on what she could gain instead of her losses. And she took that to heart, obviously. Kramer can't control her powers, and said that when she went to go get coffee, the barista that was serving her the coffee was a heat meta or a fire meta that controls fire, like Firestorm or whatever the other guy's name was that we've done in season 4. And she boiled the coffee, like boiling hot. And so that was something that Kramer was worried about doing with other metas, so that she would hurt them if it would get any worse. And remember, Kramer's a public meta. She went public with her being a meta on the podcast, so everyone knows that she's a meta. Kramer wants the Flash to train her to use her powers safely, and it's hard for her to ask for help, which is why she wants a direct line with the Flash. And obviously she was talking to Barry about it, so he knew. Barry tries to talk Kramer into using her powers to stop Goldface, and wants Kramer to get Barry wants Kramer to distract Goldface while Barry gets the cuff off so he can use his powers. And if even if you mess with the cuff, it has a chance at exploding. And Kramer was against that because she didn't want Barry to die, but Barry convinced her to go. As at this point, Kramer doesn't know Barry's Flash. So Goldface counts down literally 30 seconds, goes 30, 29, 28, and it was a semi-funny scene, but it was also semi-annoying, but it was also the irony. I mean, it was good, but it also wasn't like, oh, it's the best scene. It wasn't the best scene, but it was a somewhat funny scene. I mean, it's a Flash humor. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be it's gonna give you a couple chuckles here and there. A couple chuckles. I didn't know I was British till now, but yep. So Kramer showed up where Goldface was at CCPD, and controlled Goldface's powers, meaning controlling the necklace that Goldface was using to choke out an officer, and they were actually kind of fighting to try to get the control of the gold. Barry got the cuff off, and it blew up the second he got it off, and Barry managed to outrun it. That was an amazing scene. The one nitpick, and I'm saying this because everyone else said it, and I'm saying this because if I don't say it, someone else will say it in the comments. There was a flashback scene where Caitlin telling Barry that he leveled up and that he's really fast now, and Barry remembered that. I think that was just Barry trying to get his confidence back and be like, I'm faster now, I can control this, I can handle this, I can outrun the blast, I can save everyone in this building. I think that was the purpose behind it. Now, did they need to show the flashback? No. But I'm not going to complain about it like some people did. I get it. Season 8's about leveling up. I know a lot of you are so sick and tired of hearing the phrase level up. I'm not going to throw a fit over it. I don't really get why people won't shut up about the leveling up thing. I get it. It gets old after a while. but it's not like every 2 minutes. It's like twice an episode. Who cares? Like, deal with it. It's one line, it's 2 words, and it goes by in 2 seconds max. I mean, just deal with it. You know, I don't get that part of the hate. And that hate is like, just grow up. If you're going to complain about 2 words, maybe quit watching the show. There's an idea for you. So Flash stopped it all in under a few seconds, probably even under a second probably. Flash said he got Barry out just in time to defend for Barry and all that. And the meta bullets are at Argus. Frost mentioned Keystone City. Kane Frost want to go on a double gate again. Joy, we could see that probably next week. Flash shows up in Kramer's office. He gave Kramer a device to call him, and Kramer said he knew it was Barry. And the reasoning behind that was because the blew up bracelet Barry could have only gotten away from that if he had super speed. Now, I guess you can argue that's a good excuse, because how would the Flash exactly know? You know what I mean? Like, let's say for a second that if Barry and the Flash were 2 separate people, right? And Barry was in that legit situation, he was believing on the Flash to be there in a millisecond. Barry got rid of the cuff. Like, how would the Flash get there like that and save Barry from the explosion without getting any, like, damage to him? That wouldn't really happen. So, the only way that could be possible if Barry had super speed and she put 2 and 2 together that Barry's the Flash. Which, by the way, I know everyone says this. Why doesn't Barry change his voice around people he knows, who know him, who know Barry? Why does no one recognize Clark Kent as Superman? Why does no one realize Kara Danvers is Supergirl? All they have on are glasses! And you're complaining about Barry not changing his voice? Superman and Clark Kent don't change their voice. And Superman's like secret identity is him wearing glasses. Supergirl and Kara Danvers don't change their voice. And again, it's the same everything besides no glasses. Give it a break with the hate, people. It is nothing new. This is classic superhero what the hell is going on, because these secret identities are so BS, it's funny enough to make sense. It really is. No one recognizes Clark Kent as Superman by a pair of glasses. No one recognizes Kara Danvers as Supergirl by a pair of glasses. Barry wears a full-on mask. I mean, so what? He has the same voice. A lot of people have, like, a similar tone of voice. So what? It doesn't matter. It's better than you showing your entire face. I mean, it's, again, Superman, Supergirl, Clark Kent, Kara Danvers. They're a lot worse than Bear. So I wouldn't be talking about Barry's secret identity being stupid. Let's talk about Clark Kent's for a minute. So Kramer found out Barry's a Flash, yada, yada, yada. Barry agrees to train Kramer now, which I'm really excited to see that. I hope it happens in the show, actually. Joe and Iris are eating in the house. Jenna was mentioned, and Iris' fork disappeared. All the food disappeared. Joe entered the house like he just came into the house. Mind you, Joe was there before all this. And we found out that Iris is shifting through the timeline like a couple minutes before, and it's due to the time sickness, and that was pretty much the end of the episode. Which led to Iris' brush disappearing at the end of last episode that we saw when we came back to present day after the kids from Back to the Future. When we came back to present, the brush disappeared, and we know it's because of that. I want to talk on 1 or 2 more things, and then that'll be in the episode. Or, end the episode, and the video. This ain't a TV show, although by now it probably is. First thing, I truly get the criticism the show gets. Sometimes it is well-deserved. Sometimes it isn't. I've watched the show for the past 4 years, and I came in during late season 3. I've rewatched The Flash a couple, dozen times by now. I know when the show is bad. I admit it. I admitted when season 7 was bad in every episode, every video review I did. I would tell you straight up, honestly, if I think this episode is good. I look at Twitter. I look at how the community responds. If everyone agrees that this scene wasn't that bad, I'm gonna defend it. Even if I'm the only person who thinks it wasn't that bad. Season 8 is redeeming this show over the past couple years of it being pretty crappy. I mean, Season 8 really is doing that. Just because there's one bad line in this episode, it doesn't mean it was a bad episode. So much so, I'm rating this episode an 8 out of 10, easily. It wasn't the best episode in the season. It wasn't as good as any episodes in Armageddon. It wasn't as good as 806. But it wasn't a bad episode. It wasn't even an okay episode. It was a great episode. The only things I would complain about are the chill lame crap. And I always complain about that. Everyone, or majority of people do. And it's, again, you're free to your own opinions. I respect that. And I'm not saying I don't. But when you're going to give The Flash so much unnecessary hate, I'm going to respond to it. I'm going to say, this is a bunch of bull crap, and you need to actually rewatch this scene and keep an open mind about it. Don't nitpick this show. That's why everyone hates it, because everyone nitpicks it. If you nitpick this show, and you look at every little detail, every little line, and you hate on it, you're going to hate this show. If you didn't like this episode, fine. But if it's because of one line or one scene or whatever that made no sense to you, then you need to either A, quit watching this show, or B, quit watching the episode. It's simple as that. If you're going to hate on every little thing, quit watching it. Quit ruining it for people like me who actually enjoyed the episode, who actually enjoy watching this show. All of those of you who are like that, all you're doing is ruining the show for people like me who enjoyed the show, who enjoyed the episode. All you people are doing is just ruining for people like me. That's all you're doing. And I'm trying to defend that. That is what I do on Twitter, and that's what I've been doing for the past several years, what I plan on continuing to do. If I piss people off, I piss people off. I don't care. But if I disagree with someone, I'm going to say it, especially if he defends the show. I mean, Eric Wallace knows what he's doing. And the second point I want to bring up, which everyone was handing out in this episode and last week too, where's Iris? Iris is only showing up for a scene or two every episode now, or at least for the last two. And a little bit throughout Armageddon, we didn't get her that much. Everyone was complaining the past 2 years that we were getting way too much Iris, and now we get less of Iris, and no one shuts up. No one stops complaining. The Eric Wallace did what everyone wanted. Everyone wanted less of Iris, and we finally get that. And after what everyone wanted, and now no one's shutting up. I'm not saying I want less Iris. I would like an average amount of Iris scenes, and I agree. It wasn't the best amount of time with not having Iris that much there. But, and I do wish we got a little bit more scenes with Iris, but, bottom line, you can't have one thing and then when it happens, say you want another thing. You want the exact opposite. Make up your minds. The writers are trying to listen to the community. When you go back and forth, what's the point in them listening to you guys? Seriously, there's no point in listening to a community that's going to backtrack on what they want twice in a year or two. It makes no sense. So just consider that when you hate on this show. Consider that when you want something to happen, and when it finally does, you instantly change your mind. I agree. I should have got more scenes. Fine. But when everyone's hating on it, the main reason they did that was because all those people wanted less Iris, and we got that. So quit complaining. Quit being a bunch of hypocrites. That's what you all are. For those who are hating on the show over every little thing, over Iris not showing up that much, over Barry not using the super speed and CCPD, all those people hating on those scenes are hypocrites and should quit watching the show. Period. That's all I'm going to say on that. Because I feel like if I say any more, we're going to go into some deep territory, and I don't want to go into it. Point is, 8 out of 10 episode for me. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. I appreciate you guys all supporting me. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys when I upload next. And yeah, bye guys.